What strange thing did you find out about someone else that they thought was perfectly normal? I lived with a girl that would eat baby powder that she had stashed in the drawer of the bathroom. She would walk by the bathroom and do quick shakes of the bottle right in her mouth. She would also buy whole frozen fish from Walmart and take them out of the freezer bag and slap them hard against the brick kitchen floor before cooking them in a stew. That's a witch. My best friend recently told me that when he was little he thought the only way to clean his asshole was to jam the soap as far up as he could get it. Finally figured he was probably doing it wrong when he heard his mother scream at his dad, "Seth, the soap smells like shit. Did you shove it up your ass or something?" I still tease him about that to this day. I had a sleepover with a friend in middle school one weekend. I went to shower and she gave me a towel. It had a weird smell to it, but I couldn't find any other towels inside the bathroom, so I used it by patting myself barely and just air drying. Turns out her whole family shares a towel to prevent having to use new ones every time. I told her how weird that was and she was shocked to find out that my family has their own towels to use, but we put them in the wash every 2 or so uses. I didn't sleep over there again. My grandma has 2 toothbrushes, one for morning, and one for evening. My husband had no idea he was lactose intolerant. He thought everyone had diarrhea every day. He's 26 and found out last year. How'd he find out? His mom told him. She's known his whole life. Not kidding. My boyfriend of almost 8 years thought lions were boys and tigers were girl lions. Kind of like bulls and cows. This one is about me. In my early 20s I started having a lot of pain in my upper left jaw. My dentist said there was nothing wrong with my teeth and that I should go see a sinus specialist. Get to the ORL ear, nose and throat doctor and they comment on how stuffed up I must be. I'm slightly baffled, and say that I'm actually breathing much easier that day than usual. And that was the day I found out that most people can breathe through their noses most of the time and not just on special occasions. Turns out I'm allergic to dust mites in a how have you not had anaphylaxis and died way, and had been experiencing an allergy attack for 23 straight years. That doctor's visit legitimately changed my life. I no longer had to choose between breathing and eating. Knew a dude who pissed in an empty shampoo bottle in the shower and then he'd dump it on his feet. He also zip-tied his pants shut when he slept so he wouldn't beat his meat in his sleep. Apparently it happened a few times. Anyway, weirdest dude I ever met. Glad I'm not really acquainted with him anymore. My sister said to me once, "Hey, what dream did you choose last night?" I was so confused. She explained that every night she goes into a dream room and picks what she wants to dream about. I got super jealous. Senior year. Study hall. I'm sitting with a dude I knew. I don't remember the context, but we were talking about growing up and he says, and it was around that time when milk started coming out of my nipples and I'm like, what? And he's like, you know, when milk starts to come out, and I'm like, dude, that's not normal. The face he made when he realized the reality of the situation was memorable. He goes, that didn't happen to you? And I'm like, no. Then he asks the rest of the guys in study hall, did any of y'all have milk come out your nips during puberty? They said no. A little late here. But my ex didn't think you needed to wash cutting boards. I was doing his dishes and started to wash it and he got upset. I thought that was a common sense thing that someone in med school should know. This is a story about me. Actually, my mom has been a drug addict my whole life. When I was little, I was attached to her hip. I went everywhere with her. When we'd go to other people's houses, she'd go through their cabinets, drawers, etc. She'd just say she was being nosy. What she was actually doing was looking for medications to steal. Fast forward a few years. I'm at my best friend's house. She went out of her room for a few minutes and I got curious, so I started going through one of her drawers. She came back in and asked me what I was doing. I remember saying nothing. I'm just being nosy. She then explained to me that it is not okay to go through other people's belongings. I honestly just thought it was something everyone does. I told my dad this story a couple of years ago and he was so angry. He had no idea. This was me until about 2 years ago. I thought that kiwis made everyone's mouth itchy. Like it was just part of the fruit experience. I also thought mangoes were hot for everyone. Well, my wife informed me that I'm probably allergic to those fruits since mangoes aren't supposed to burn your mouth and kiwis shouldn't make your mouth itch. I truly didn't believe her. Months later I'm choking on mango. I can't breathe. My face is getting red. I couldn't even get the word put to tell her I couldn't breath. EpiPen and an visit later. I'm allergic to mangoes and kiwis and a host of other tropical fruit. No fruit should make your mouth burn aside from the jalapeno and peppers. And no fruit should make your mouth itch or lips swell. Apparently that's called an allergy. Oops. So this was actually me. But growing up my mom would always tell me to grab donuts from the Walmart bakery area and eat it while we walked around the store. We lived in the country, so we only went to the store every 2 weeks. For a long time this proceeded until it was common practice, and eventually I just did it without even telling her. Around early middle school, a girl who has a crush on me sees me eating a donut in Walmart and asks me if I just take those. I respond of course. She proceeds to take one and eat it with me to prove she's as cool as me, but I just don't understand. I then relay to my mom how this silly girl had no idea Walmart had free donuts. And that's when she told me she had been paying for them for years. But I had not asked her permission for a long time, so there is no telling how many donuts I unknowingly stole from Walmart. It's not very often you get to find something strange out about yourself that you thought was perfectly normal. Not a friend. But something I didn't find out until my wife pointed it out. I thought it was completely normal for your eyes to unfocus naturally when you're tired. 7-year-old me remembers reading late into the night and having to cover one eye and then switch eyes in order to keep reading. Fast forward to being married. My wife offhandedly mentions sometimes she doesn't know which eye to look at while talking to each other. It turns out biocular diplopia is a thing. And the fix for it is to cut your eye muscles up and stitch them back on in a better alignment. So a lot of people have said, isn't this normal? If it happens only late at night, you're fine. If it happens during the day, or all the time, or you've gotten used to seeing double and just letting one eye wander off and do whatever. They do make glasses to that'll realign each eye so the dominant eye doesn't have to work as hard and you'll regain a lot of your depth perception. E2. Apparently I am not the only one. Talk to your eye doctor about this, folks. And ask them to test for amblyopia or strabismus. Prism glasses or surgery might be able to help you. E3. All of these responses have convinced me to get prism glasses once my HSA refills. Unless y'all know someone that does them cheap. I had to explain to one of my friends in high school that not everyone's whole family has sex with them. This girl was 17 and was having sex with both her brothers in their 20s, her dad, her uncle and her grandfather. I told the school counselor and she was taken out of that house, and basically her entire family was arrested for either sex with a minor, rape, child abuse and a whole heap of other charges. She just thought that's what families do. Here's me. I remember that. For a long time, I thought it was completely normal to not be able to get a full breath. I distinctly remember being 16 and asking my friends, you know that feeling when you actually get a full breath in your lungs and it feels amazing, and no one had any clue what I was talking about. Turns out I had undiagnosed asthma for most of my life. Makes more sense now. My friend can't recognize faces. I only figured it out for sure when he almost got into a stranger's truck because he thought it was me because she had red hair. I've known him for like 6 years. He seemed surprised when I said that wasn't normal. In grade 5, our teacher was running a discussion about words, and why it's important to choose the right words to express yourself during writing assignments. He asked what some of our least favorite words were and why, so we could expand our vocabularies. We're all taking turns until it gets to be my friend Paige's turn. She gives her favorite word and explains it's her favorite because of how sweet it is. We all just assumed she meant how nice it was. She then gives her least favorite word, explaining she hates how sour it is. At this point, the class is looking at each other going, she just said sour, right? Turns out she has a type of synesthesia, which is a rare condition that causes a person to taste certain tastes when speaking or even thinking certain words. She had lived her whole life thinking it was completely normal to taste words, because it's such a unique and strange thing that nobody would ever talk about it being a condition. She had tests done later that year, and there were actual chemical changes in her brain and saliva when certain words were said. Pretty fascinating. For people who are curious as to what her least favorite words were, I contacted her to ask. She believes her favorite word at the time was cradle, as she still finds it very sweet. Her least favorite word was definitely harmonica, as it is so sour she can feel her tongue cramping in the back of her mouth. Since then, she's discovered her love of the word chartreuse, which is a color. She said it's a rich, Chocolatey vanilla. Almost like a Lindor chocolate. She didn't realize until she tried wine in high school that she was tasting wine every time she said Guinea, but only when she's referring to the animal. She said her least favorite word is definitely still harmonica, but funnily she also never liked her own name, as she would compare the taste to kale, or some other dry, bitter lettuce. In college, a bunch of friends and I were sitting around talking about things we did as a kid. One of the guys in the group said, "Didn't you hate when you got a cold and your mom would give you an enema?" He soon found out that he was the only one.